Crystal of Atlan is releasing on global very soon, with the PS5 release date announced on 28 May 2025, when asked regarding the PC and mobile version, the dev just teased us to stay tuned, so I'm assuming it's very soon. The game is a hack and slash dungeon crawler MMO, stood out for its aerial combat as it has advertised. The theme of the game sets in a steampunk and magecraft setting, thus resulting in what the developers call it magic steampunk or magic punk. And boy oh boy, I almost slept on this game, mainly due to my first impression and beta experience in the year 2023 on the CN version. They did mention that the PlayStation 5 version of the game will be a separate server, so I believe the player base will be separated like most games. The good news in the global version is that they also hinted a sped up release, with the Magician, Cloudstrider and Starbreaker will be available upon global release. Hoping more will come to global, because I don't really want to wait very long for this game. Since it's an MMO and not a gacha, it doesn't affect me in any way. Crystal of Atlan recently had a public test event, if not mistaken, in Manila, Philippines, and I did saw some of my friends' face there, so shout out to you guys. And I think it was pretty successful, with many people talking about how great the combat system is in this game is, but many people would soon address one of the problem being the battery system, but we'll get to that later, because in my opinion it's really not a problem for me. China, the game is still very popular and servers are still pretty lively. Anyone that told you that the game is dead probably logged on into a different time zone, or have the players seen on the field set to none or low or something, because I'm spotting quite a number of players every time I play the game, and mainly because Malaysia and China are sharing the same time zone. So I think I'm playing after my work, after like 12 hours shift of my work, so I see a lot of players. The game has a price pool of 10,000 USD, almost 10,000 USD, based on the time I converted in a PvP tournament, let alone PvE. PvE actually has more, but PvE in this game is pay to be fast approach. PvP is much more of a balanced, non-pay to win concept, relying on player skill and experience, letting you know firsthand. But if you stick around at the game mode section, I'll explain more about this. The game was released in the year 2023 with a goal set in mind that the combat of the game has to be the core approach, with many players stating it's very DMC coded, Devil May Cry, while others mention like DNF, Critical or Soulworker. Since I've never played any of the other games except DMC, I would say Crystal of Atlan is a fusion of Devil May Cry with your generic MMO, since the skill does have cooldown and they have to do it because otherwise you'll be very overpowered. Consider that the game is an MMO, it's only fair that we give the game a chance if you're interested in staying around or coming back in between, because most MMO takes years to become good, and like most games, you'll eventually reach the end game and grind to be stronger until the next content. Zackie here, and in these videos I want to share with you my experience with Crystal of Atlan after maxing out 5 classes, which is the Arcane Blade, Berserker, Blade Maiden, Elementalist and Gunner, and I will continue to do so for every other character. There's a lot of things to talk about, so I might miss out a few points. I think I'm going to miss out a lot of points in this game. Since it's an MMO approach, this isn't a guide video, so I'll be providing the tip of the iceberg instead of the whole package. Otherwise, if I try to talk about everything, this video might end up longer than I anticipated. The story of Crystal of Atlan takes place in a magic steampunk fantasy world, and there's this crystal core, aka known as Jinghe, and that's the title of the CN version, and it's kinda equivalent to the Holy Grail of the Fate franchise, meaning it's packed with magical energy and it does shit and the villain wants it. However, the world is on the brink of collapse as the Void Reef, a catastrophic phenomenon, spill forth monsters and chaos. That is as far as I'll go with the story, because it's actually not that bad but not that good either, because this game is focusing on its combat, but it gets better on the later chapter as they develop. After a story related tutorials, you get to pick your character, and there are currently 7 characters as of now, and if you count their class branches, a total of 18 or 19 if you count the upcoming Swordman branch, which was announced during the recent tournament. They also mentioned that there's going to be a collaboration with One Punch Man and Greymon from Digimon collab, just to let you know. Anyways, I know many people would be turned off because all these characters or class are gender locked, look locked. I mean, how they look is locked, but you can customize later. It did bother me at first, but eventually I didn't really care because this game focused so much on its combat, I immediately forget about the customization part. So if you're looking for some upcoming MMO that gives you of an SAOY where you can customize your character and ditch reality and live in the virtual world, then maybe you should be looking for Star Resonance, but I'll talk about that next time. You'll eventually unlock character customization after completing chapter 1. Funny, it's not at the start, because the game also wants you to go through a class transformation which also changes your character look, but that's not the point. It doesn't really make sense, but that's just how the game goes. There are minor character customization, like I said, where you can change the character's hair, faces, and skin tone, but until you unlock skins, the customization for the default skin is pretty limited, and don't worry, skin can be grind for free as well, and the skin has a lot of color choice compared to the default one, as well as you can buy wigs and they can represent your hair as well. And yes, skin does give stats, but since everyone can get it, I don't think it's really pay to win. Perhaps the biggest red flag that many players are getting from this game might be its graphic choice. While I don't think it's hideous, I actually find it captivating and sits with it. Maybe perhaps at the starting village and the adventure city, aka Ryan City, does look like every other mobile MMO, but if you pay close attention, it actually looks pretty good and detailed, and they're actually not slacking on it. The system requirement for this game is shown on screen and it's not as demanding as I thought. I'm able to run pretty smoothly at 120 FPS with a 2060 card with 24 GB RAM inside my HDD hard disk. The later stories and chapter continues to review that they actually put a lot of effort into visual of the world, and I absolutely love it, especially for the boss designs. Some of these boss designs are pretty actually good, but because when you get stronger later in the story and you can one-shot them, they don't feel monstrosity, like they just die easily, and I think that's part of the problem in this game. But it could be a good thing because you're gonna do a lot of grinding that it can get very boring eventually. Anyways, we're getting off topic. What many would argue is that the combination of the graphic along with the user interface presented on the player screen could give it a mobile-first approach, and that does give an immediate mobile MMO vibe to most people. I mean, you have your character UI on the top left, and sometimes shows your buff and your HP debuff. On the left side, you have your quests, which are divided by colors according to story, side quests, and normal quests, which upon clicking your character will automatically teleport there and then travel by foot to the target. But on the left side, you have your inventory pops up, and as well as your conversation chat, world chat, server chat, and stuff like that. At the very bottom, you have your MMO generic EXP bar to the next level, which nothing much to talk about this. Top right, you have your cash shop, current event navigation map, and by clicking it brings you to the world map. And on the right side corner is where you have your player's menu, where you can check your equipment, skill allocation, auction shop, and etc. When it comes to MMO, most people would prefer the open world. I think very small number of people prefer linear exploration, but Crystal of Atlan is more of a structured world, meaning that you travel around the city to city, but since it's an MMO hub, you'll most likely stay in Ryan City most of the time. This once again is a preference, and when it comes to reviewing preference, it depends on how well they're executed, not based on what players prefer. And I actually like how the world is done. If you ever play Grand Blue Fantasy Reeling, it's pretty much like that, though some map has its camp center and you can still explore part of the dungeon where you've cleared the story. You can summon old bosses to fight, or at the super end game, which is the reason content, you're going to summon this little portal, this little orb here, and once after attacking it, it will open up a portal, and then you have to jump into the portal to attack that mysterious thing that you can't attack at first, because it's kind of mechanic. I don't know how to explain it, but you jump into this portal and then now you can see him and then you attack him. I have to get this out because some of the reviews on YouTube said that there's nothing to do outside the city, so there's no point of having exploration. There's actually a lot. You can still like pick up crafting materials to craft for EXP multiplier or drop multiplier, or even like cooking for items to use during boss fight. The combat of Crystal of Atlan is what stood out for the game. Like the developers mentioned themselves that they want this game to be action orientated. They're not lying, it's true. While the story is slowly getting better in later chapter, but it's still boring at the moment. I got into the higher level with more skills unlocked, so I can't deny that the game almost feels like just like Devil May Cry combat with MMO element. My first class in this game is known as the Arcane Blade, now known as Magi Blade on the globally version. This character plays exactly just like the Alpha and the Omega, the storm that is approaching. It makes me feel motivated. So yeah, There are some classes that I have tried, but classes like Berserker also reminded me of Nero, or Bounty Hunter sticking in the air gives me the vibes of playing as Dante with his Ebony and Ivory. I mentioned again a total of 18 classes in this game, and regardless of what class you pick, you pretty much play through the same story. You can however switch between the classes branches. For example, a Musketeer advance into a Gunner, Bounty Hunter, or Mistrix to try them out, but when you reach level 45, you'll have to choose one class to stick with, and at level 60, another advancement class that unlocks your new ultimate. You can however purchase a class change item. Yes, F2P can also grind for this, but consider how fast you level up in this game. You probably can max out a character in probably just 2 days, so nothing to worry about. You might think that the dev is greedy since each character has its own skin and they want you to spend on that. But yes, you do need to play multiple characters in this game. At least 3. It doesn't really bother me because I'm someone that has cleared a game multiple times. Like Devil May Cry 3 probably 5 to 6 times. Onimusha 3 probably 3 times with all the upgrades. Dawn of Dreams, Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, and so forth. I can go on but that was when I was 15. I don't really do these clearing games multiple times as I was an adult because I don't know what happened to me. The game has little reason to spend mainly because what most people stay in the game is for its combat, but they also give themselves more work to do because each character has different voice actor or actress, which means they're gonna bring those actor and actress back for the stories. And different combat movement in cutscene as well, such as the puppeteer are not going to use their hand, they use their puppeteer, or the gunner actually use their gun to block and shoot. As the level cap is going to increase in the future, they also have to give all these classes new skills like they did with level 70 expansion. The game handled progression very well for beginners. You unlock new skills every 5 levels the story progresses. The skill unlock kind of makes it easier to digest since you're slowly taking one at a time. And starting an entirely new class doesn't really bother me because honestly speaking, every class are fun to play, but of course there are tier lists, but I'll make a separate video once I'm done reading and playing most of them. By the end game, you'll unlock most of the skill slot, and there are up to 4 slots front and 4 slots later, or aka the second slot. But since this isn't a guide video, I'll just let you know that the first slot comes first, with the second slot follow up while the first slot is in cooldown. I highly recommend playing the game using a controller, but if that bothers you because you like to have a conversation with your keyboard, the game switches control immediately after tapping a single button on whichever controls you're using. For instance, I like to go through the dungeon run with a controller, but I like to navigate the inventory and conversation with my keyboard. All I do is touch my keyboard, unlike, one game, Genshin Impact, they don't have this, even though it's the year 2025 by now. But I think it's not just Genshin Impact, there's a lot of games that doesn't have that bothers me a lot. Because I really don't like going into the setting and changes, so this is a good quality of life for this game. Most of the high-end dungeon or bosses isn't really just a sponge hitting rotation focused gameplay. Some bosses do have a threshold, and reaching a certain threshold stops players from doing more damage until further objective meets otherwise, such as racing through a maze, going on the top of the side of the stage to destroy the orb, or this weird eye mechanic against Safer Sephiroth. So this game not only takes a lot of inspiration from DMC, it takes a lot of inspiration from other anime and video games, okay? So I'm just explaining what I see. To those who play Son of FF14, you might understand what I'm referring to. I don't know, but because I play all the way up to Stormbright. But like I said again, the problem is that if you're teaming up with higher level people, they can just one-shot the dungeon, which sucks. But that's not a bad thing, because sometimes I don't have time to grind, and I appreciate these kind of people. I don't know, man, but as a single player experiences, Crystal of Atlan is really good. Really good. I'm not lying. I would give the combat a 9 out of 10 for consider that the game is mobile approach first, but since it's also on PC, it feels like I'm playing a PC game instead of mobiles, until we talk about the battery system. I've seen many honest reviews sponsored by Crystal of Atlan praising its combat, but also many negative reviews on the battery system of the game, or aka the stamina system. The battery system is split into two: the character-based stamina and the account-based stamina. The account-based stamina has a little bit more, around 900 something, while the character base only has like 150. In my opinion, if you combine 2 stamina, you can play up to 3 to 4 hours based on my experiences. But the problem is that the character base, which is the green one, is consumed first. Once depleted, the game consumes the account base. Drops are split into account and character base, and what's a lackluster to me is that when I play as a Magic Blade and hunted a Berserker Greatsword, I can't just store it. I can store this in the bank, but Not unless I have an item where I do some. They do give you this item through some quests, but eventually at the end game, you'll have to level up your adventure level, yes, aka the total character exp progress. Not only these give you some extra stat boosts, but by accumulating more exp, you do get currency to unlock more character slots. Yes, you can only create 5 characters at a time, but if you like level up to level 7 adventure rank and then you get to purchase this, no, you cannot purchase this with real money, only by playing the game. So right now I'm stuck with 5 characters, so eventually I'll be able to unlock it. Now since this isn't guide videos, I'm not gonna break down it as well, just letting you know out there that you need to play multiple characters. That's the way. It doesn't bother me because I clear multiple games multiple times, but consider that this game, like, I just kind of play this game at a single player approach, so it doesn't really bother me. Every class seems pretty fun. Anyways, back to the stamina system. The drops are also separated into character stamina drop or account based drop, with the more rare items based on character drop. But creating multiple characters allows you to grind for more gold, and gold is really like the most important thing in this game compared to item drop, because you're gonna be needing a lot of gold to enhance, to upgrade, and overall everything. And this is where they built an ecosystem where F2P can actually grind for free skins. You can also sell your golds in the auction shop, and in the auction shop the whale will purchase it with real money, but the F2P will get the free currency or the premium currency. But how do I put it, you can buy this with, you can use this to buy skins, upgrades, and stuff like that, which isn't bad. And god, it's so hard to explain this part, but basically it's because of whale, F2P can buy skins and other stuff for free. The game also has a trading system, but very small numbers of items or equipment can be traded. The game focuses on an ecosystem of gold most of the time, which is used for enhancing an equipment all the way up. You can, like, people can trade you gold. Gold is one of the things that can be traded. If I'm not mistaken, there is an item in the cash shop that you can also like put a skin in and then give it to someone else as well. That is a thing in this game. And when it comes to equipment enhancement, F2P players are recommended to stay around plus 14 instead of plus 22, because that's what whale will be going. Because how expensive enhancement is in this game, a lot of content creators on Bilibili cannot tell you the latest class tier list. They can give you the old one. Elementalist is one of the strongest with Magi Blade behind, but the new classes, it will take some time for them to farm. So new classes are hard to talk about, but they are stronger. We did talk about a little bit about the gear system, but let's go to them right this time with step-by-step insight. In this game, gear systems are divided into armor, weapon, and accessories. Sometimes there's a 4-piece bonus with the same set, or at times there are 8-piece. You can craft equipment by doing raids and stuff, but even that is limited with daily drops, because the materials of the raid are dropped only one time, so you have to do it every day. Armor and the accessories can be equipped by all classes except for the main weapon. Every time there's a new level cap unlocked, players are required to grind for the new pieces, but that doesn't mean that the old pieces are useless. You can still use them till you farm for new ones. And the enhancements grade can be transferred by using this little red thing, or it can go down slightly a little bit if you don't decide to use the redstone, because the redstone are rare. Whales can get them frequently, but F2P players cannot get them. But this doesn't affect a lot. It's just make things easier for whale, but F2P a lot harder. I don't think you should hate whale in this game, consider that they keep the game alive and sponsor the prize pool for the PvE and PvP tournament. But I do encourage you to try to play this game just for fun, okay? The reason why F2P players are not recommended to upgrade their weapon grade to plus 22 is mainly because it can go down, wasting a lot of gold, as well as the broken weapon, which you eventually have to buy a repair to repair it. Aside from that, player will also grind for circuit, and this is kind of like the relic system from Genshin Impact or most gacha game, where you have to roll for the perfect stats. This is gonna take a long time, so what I usually do is that I grind a lot of pieces, right? And then I just slowly see which one is better. By leveling up to level 8, it reveals all the stats. Now different pieces of gear will use different pieces of circuit, but I'll make an entire guide when the global version is out. I'm just letting you know, the tip of the iceberg like I mentioned. Aside from the enhancement and the circuit upgrading, you will also be farming for Sigil, where you can hunt from bosses or buy from the auction shop, or sometimes there's event as well. This is probably also the end game farming, where it doesn't limit your stamina system. You can farm as much as you want for this one, even in raids, but the drop rate for this is absolutely insane. I think I played around 1 month and I just got like 2 drops. If it bothers you, you can also purchase it from the other player's auction shop, but that can be kind of pricey as well. And you do need multiple gold Sigils in order to upgrade their grade as well, which is another thing that you need gold. Lastly, a new feature teased for the gear are the engraving. Each gear has 3 slots of engraving, and to get this engraving, you need to go through dungeons and farm for legendary loot, the gold graded item, and then extract them to equip them to your equipment. Or what you can do is sell this item and get these little pieces right here, where you can go for a loot box engraving and get the one that you want by luck. Again, something that whales can't do as well, so there you go. Combining multiple same engraving further enhances the level. Next, we have the calibration. You can roll from 0 to 100% of the equipment stat, or use the more rare one, which you can also craft by using the normal one. Kind of like that feature in most MMO game, or Tower of Fantasy does have one as well, I believe so. Sorry for the poor explanation, but the best way to do this is by rolling it to somewhere around 18% first, and then use the more expensive calibrator to max it out. Again, this is F2P friendly part, and skin also gives major stat boost, and luckily at level 60, only one of your character can receive a skin. All skins give about the same stat, and most skins can be grind as well, so the skin part is really F2P friendly, but pay to be fast. There's also title. These give stats, so you might thank the whale for carrying you on some dungeon run. But you can also buy some titles, weaker titles, that can help you out at the beginning from the auction shop. I don't know why this is a thing. Aura is also a thing you can buy. Sometimes there are events for limited skin as well, so some people sell these skins, so you can buy them as well. So it's not really a mobile MMO, I guess. Some mobile MMO just don't let you buy anything that's limited. Probably the most pay to win aspect of the game is actually your gacha pet, okay? And you'll need at least 3 copies to max them out. I got this little Crimson Dragon via luck. I'm really lucky. I think I pulled about 50 times using the F2P currency, so I'm not complaining. I'm just playing this game for fun. If you try to go for the leaderboard, you'll probably die. The official the official global version all even state that their media that you'll get pets and stuff like that, and if you spend money you get this sick Kuro Neko if you top up enough. I don't know why they're encouraging people to spend. I know you need to make money, but you don't have to be so obvious, But I guess they have to make money for the tournament. I will go a bit more detail in another video in regards to the equipment, but for now this is where I will most likely stop. Crafting is also in the game, where you can craft for food, enhancement materials, and so on, or even crafting for weapon and equipment. I guess this is something that you have to explore yourself. It is important, but not really. If you can sometimes drop equipments are much more stronger than crafted equipment. Wow, this video is pretty long by now, and we're just getting to the game mode. Because I have to do justice in reviewing the game that many channels fail to do, that I sincerely care about this game. So we have the story mode for either easy or hard mode. Is really just very easy as the stronger you get, but you can do the hard mode with your friends as well, especially if you're starting out a new account and wanted to level up fast. You can do co-op with your friends. We also have the raid mode, which is unlocked at level 60 to be most of the raid has to be clear in the single player mode first before unlocking the 4-man raid, and after unlocking the 4-man raid and completing it, you can do the 8-man raid, which increases the drop rate of the crafting materials. I do like the approach where they want you to clear the single player mode first, because they want you to understand the mechanic before entering into the co-op mode. But since most people just one-shot it, there's really no meaning to it. But because I think it's because that TN players are way ahead, they're doing harder raid, so whenever they match with a new player, they just kind of end up carrying them. Now, what stood out to me is one of the best features, the rogue mode that restricts stats and has a co-op feature as well. This is a mode where if you play Blaze Blue, Entropy Effect, or any other rogue mode that sells, you know, go in, you go through stages, you collect buff. This is probably the best game because the game stood out for its combat, right? This is the most fun thing about it because it restricts the stat and it has co-op feature. You can do it with 4 players as well. So I love this mode. This is probably my favorite mode of all time because of how F2P friendly it is. Guild Raid is basically a capture the post PK zone if I'm not mistaken, and then there's daily gold farming and PC PvP, which has a difficulty slider, so I guess this is kind of fun as well. Daily quest, and then the tower endgame climbing where you can do it co-op as well, but eventually reaching one level you have to do it solo. I probably have a lot of things that I have not covered about Crystal of Atlan. Feel free to leave down in the comment section below because I'm going to be making more videos in regards to Crystal of Atlan. I really have a lot of fun playing Crystal of Atlan, at least on the CN side of the game. At least on the CN side of the server. About the game future, as it's only 2 years in CN with a year of finding their direction, I think I'm pretty much bullish about the game. I'm looking forward to the new warrior class as well. I'm trying to play this game just for fun. If you're trying to climb the leaderboard as an F2P or a meter class, you're gonna be very depressed. So I would recommend to play the game for fun unless you're trying to climb the PvP. Again, I think I forgot to mention that the PvP does have a 3 versus 3 mode, but the 3 versus 3 mode does not have a tournament. Now the PvP is more of a fencing with the stamina bar and stuff like that. Eventually you'll get to, if you do plan to try the game out, you'll get to experience it, but there's nothing much to talk about. There's this stamina system. The moment the stamina system reaches 0, you can't do damage. Otherwise, I think I covered everything I want to talk about. If I miss out a few points, I'm sorry, but this video is a little bit too long. I don't want to keep it going. Maybe we'll make a part 2 discussion video if I do miss out a few points. This is probably the only long videos I'll be talking about Crystal of Atlan. The rest are probably just gonna be a very short one. I hope so. So yeah, Crystal of Atlan is a pretty chill single player games or co-op. If you're new to the game or if everyone is still new, eventually the wheel is gonna carry. Often just one shot most of the monster viewing possibly they kept. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. My name is Zackie, and damn, this is a long video, and hey, it's just a gaming channel.